Alrighty, let's see how this one's going to go. I got some good news for some of you out there, or like me, chomping at the bit to get back to the Philippines on a tourist. I got some good news for you. So hold on, let me get Miss P. This is the Filipina P. That's pretty much her channel, kind of like mine is Wolfen. And yes, her name is P. I don't know why this is doing. Hold on, folks. I need to get rid of this crap. There we go. Now let's try this.
Hi folks, the Filipina P here with some breaking news. OMG. I know you're all tired of hearing misleading stories about the borders opening, but there's been a new development today that I've fact-checked and verified with my sources. So the news I'm about to report is accurate and correct. Drum roll, please. The Philippines is now open for tourism. Yay! Effective February 10th of 2022. Yes, folks, it's finally happening. And today I've got my expert in the field, Mr. J.R. Coca, to give us the details. Hey, J.R.
Hi, the Filipina P. How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing great as well.
I know I have a big smile on my face. So is it true? Is it true that the Philippines is open?
Based on the IATF resolution, which was recently approved today, the Philippines will be opening their borders soon. And that will be starting February 10, 2022. And those foreign nationals who are actually categorized on the visa-free countries will now be allowed to enter the Philippines as long as they are vaccinated and they can comply with the requirements thereafter set forth by the Philippine government. So, hurrah! Yes!
All right, guys. To make it clear, JR just said that foreign nationals coming from a non-visa required country such as the US, Canada, Australia, the UK, the European countries are no longer requiring visa. So the visa upon arrival is restored. You can come into the Philippines starting February 10th of 2022. So JR, you just made 115K subscribers. Very, very happy.
I'm coming home, baby.
Their fiancés, their girlfriends, now they can come and visit the Philippines. Hooray!
Hurrah.
All right. So JR, please enumerate the requirements for the foreign nationals that are allowed to come in the Philippines.
Okay. We're going back to the basic requirements under EO 408. They should have a valid passport, at least 6 months validity upon entry. They should have also a return ticket. And also, they should have an RT-PCR test prior to entry for them to have the testing or to comply with the testing and quarantine protocols of the country. So those are the basic requirements that they need to have, and also they need to have a proof of vaccination. And we can actually provide your viewers with the official IATF resolution for them to be guided accordingly. And also, it is good to note that this
that means you got to be fully vaxxed, folks,
has just gone out today,
and you got to be tested 48 hours.
We will be looking forward for the official advisory also from the Bureau of Immigration to have this fully implemented in the rightful government agency, which is the Bureau of Immigration.
All right. So as long as you're fully vaccinated, foreigners coming from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, you are allowed. You have to provide proof of your vaccination, like your vaccination card or certificate, or I think the ones that you can get from WHO or the ones from the CDC, it's allowed. So you have to secure a copy of that. And also make sure, guys, maybe your passport has been waiting in your drawer for years. So make sure you have at least 6 months validity upon arrival here in the Philippines. If it's only like 5 months, or maybe it's coming, it's expiring soon, maybe you just have to go ahead and, renew that one. And as JR mentioned, you have to have a return ticket. It's not really necessary for a foreigner to purchase a return ticket going back to his home country if he wants to stay here in the Philippines longer, because they can just buy what we call a throwaway ticket, which is very cheap, maybe to Thailand or Malaysia or Singapore, and stay there 24 hours and then come back here and do the same thing. Or otherwise, they can just renew their visa up to 6 months if they haven't changed that that policy.
Okay. Regarding the return ticket, we go back now to the normal before. We are now in the new normal.
Okay, let me add something on that, folks. I don't know if this thing's 22 minutes if I let it run in entirety. But let me add something on to that. If it's going back to old rules, that means you're going to have 29 days. You have 29 days in country in the Philippines, and then you have to apply for another 30 days or 2 months, and then after that it's 3 months, I think. But it's expensive. It's expensive. It was 2 years ago, but I'll let them go on. But what I'm trying to say is the old rules was just that: 29 days, renew your visa, your tourist visa. A month later, you got to do it again, or you have the option to renew 2 months, which is going to cost you about double. Of course, you're going to pay for each month, and sometimes they'll have to send your visa, your visa and your passport to Cebu or Manila, and then you got to wait for it to come back, and then so you don't want to go over. You want to go there. If you got 29 days, you may want to get there 27 days. I know it cuts a little bit into your vacation and your tourist obligation, but you got to go back and get that. That part, they're assuming people know that already. So I just thought I'd add that in there. But here, back to Filipina P and JR. He is actually he's an official, and he's a good connect. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that have used him. He's a BIR, which is Bureau of Integration and Reintegration, and he's also a visa consultant. So I take his word over a lot of people, along with P and many other vloggers. But here we go.
A tourist, by the requirement of the Bureau of Immigration here in the Philippines, once you are a tourist, you are required to have a return ticket or a ticket of your next destination from the Philippines. Now, it is hereby being encouraged, and that is a requirement by the Philippine law for them to enter the country. But there's a gray area of that, because you are allowed to stay here in the Philippines for 36 months for EO 408 countries here in the Philippines on tourist visa. So, but the thing is, this is the new normal now. We don't know if the next 30 days or the next 15 days they're gonna change. So I would highly recommend that they need to follow it. They need to follow and get the ticket. Probably they can choose whatever destination which will be cheaper, And I think the throwaway ticket is a term that is commonly used, like the visa run.
Yeah, the visa.
I would
Yeah, the visa
highly
run.
encourage them to get an appropriate visa because we will never know when is this pandemic gonna end, or is this just like a slight leeway and there will be another wave coming in, God forbid. But hey, this is the new normal now.
Considering the visa extensions, it looks like it's safe to assume at the moment that they haven't changed that. They
Yes.
didn't talk about I mean, changing anything. So for the countries like the US, Americans can stay up to 36 months here in the Philippines.
As of now, there's no specific mention of that in the IATF resolution, and there's no further changes of that based on the latest advisory from the Bureau of Immigration. So it is safe to assume that the EO408 privileges, which is the visa free privileges, is still in place. So they don't need to have that one confused, and also I know some of your subscribers already started with the EED. Now, once you started with the EED, we would highly recommend for you to proceed with that, or you may proceed with that, or you may avail this visa free or opening up the borders, because probably we will never know. Fingers crossed, I hope it will not happen like what happened like November 28th. Like they just suspended because of this situation. So if you're here in the country after February 11, you're here, hurrah, of your subscribers wanting to come here, please be here the soonest possible time. But please do, once you're here in the Philippines, explore to have an appropriate visa. We would highly encourage you to get one, whichever is applicable for you, because who knows? Change, it will change. We will never know. But we would like to have them on the safer side for them to have like a travel convenience along the way.
All right, so guys, just to be clear, if you're planning to stay here in the Philippines more than 30 days, it's safe to just buy a cheaper ticket going outside the country. Let's say Malaysia or Thailand. It's only like what, $60 the last time I checked. So that's why we call it a throwaway ticket, because you really don't have to go there, because if you can extend your visa here, then you can stay here. But it's cheaper that way instead of buying a return ticket to your home country. That's our normal procedure for my foreign friends. They do that all the time. Or sometimes if their 36 months is up, they just, as you said, they just do the visa run. They even just go to Hong Kong and then stay in the airport and then come back the next day and start all over again. Like your clock is back in zero, so you can
Back in 36.
yeah, back in 36. Okay.
But I think in the long run right now, once they're here, that's the first step. That's the first achievement. The small steps, the small wins that they're here. Then once they're here and they decided to come here, then we would highly recommend them to, if they can do away with a visa run, then do that. They might be stuck again for the next 2 years in their home country and wanting, hey, and when is the borders opening? So we don't want that to happen in your subscribers.
All right, to wrap things up in this section, you just have to make sure you're fully vaccinated, because unfortunately, guys, for foreign nationals, we're not allowing unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated to enter our country, and you have to provide your proof of vaccination, your vax certificate or your vax card from WHO, the CDC, and whatnot, and also your passports, guys. Make sure it's at least 6 months validity upon arrival, and a return ticket or a throwaway ticket, or a ticket to your next destination after the Philippines. What do you think? I mean, do you think this is solid? Do you think the IATF might change their minds again?
And suspend this in the next 3 days?
Yeah.
Just as what happened way back November?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I think there would be, basing on what I see right now on a day-to-day living here in the Philippines, this might go through as approved. Why? people right now have begun to adopt that we need to live with the virus.
Right.
And if there will be Omicron, then so be it. There will be Omicron. But the thing is, they cannot just let the economy die. They cannot just separate people who love each other suffer.
Right.
And I think the world right now is adapting. So with the Philippines.
Right. And our neighboring countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, they're opening up, especially Thailand. So we should follow their.
Footstep.
Yeah, see, I just want to interrupt for a minute. If you notice, it's America did it. We voted against the mandate. UK saw that, and UK lifted all their mandates and said, we're going to have to live with this. I knew this 2 years ago. We're going to have to live with it like the flu. And back in the day, the flu was a badass virus to get. And then it got to a point where we kind of got, I guess, herd immunity is what they're calling it. But this is another thing. This is how everybody else is starting to think now. This is not going to go away. We're going to have to deal with it. It's going to be a seasonal thing. And we need to stop giving China control. Roger that? Okay, here we go.
Steps.
Yeah, our footsteps, because a lot of our Western friends out there, they're dying to come back here to see their loved ones, their girlfriends, their fiancés, you know. So this is really great, guys. I'm so happy for you. And in case the the visa extension is still intact, the same thing, you guys can help with the process, right? JR, your company does that too.
Yes.
You provide that.
Yes, we can. Bring some whiskey, please. Yes, we can actually do their immigration transaction like the extension per se, because we are a duly accredited visa agency firm here in the Philippines, and we make that to a point to give an assurance to our clients and to your subscribers that we are actually a legit company, and we're actually our main objective is to help our clients to have things done for them.
You better be legit. I'm gonna hassle you if you're not legit.
This is one of the proof that we were awarded as one of the top marketer of the Philippine Retirement Authority way back 2018. So,
Wow.
and we will continue to do that. That's a testament and the fruit of our hard work and the team itself, and with your support as well, and with the trust of all our clients too.
Right. So, guys, go ahead if you have any visa concerns. Once you're here in the Philippines, I highly recommend JRC Visa Consultancy, and bring him some whiskey. Whiskey, as he said.
I do too, folks.
Give me some.
I will. I'll bring some.
I watch JR a lot.
Okay. All right, JR. So let's talk about the quarantine protocol. Do they have to go through the dreadful quarantine protocol, or no?
As long as they're fully vaccinated, and also they have complied with the 48-hour RT-PCR prior to their departure, they're not.
That's 48
they're not
hours.
required already upon arrival to do the quarantine. As long as there's no symptoms, and if there's no symptoms, they're just advised to do a home isolation. With them to have their self isolated for some time, because probably that's COVID or not. But as long as they complied with the RT-PCR and they're fully vaccinated, they are not required to be on the quarantine-based facility upon arrival.
Yay! So that's a lot.
There's a lot of improvement.
I know. Oh my God. I'm about to cry. I'm so happy for my subscribers. So they don't have to pay a hotel to quarantine themselves. And they just have to make sure that they have to take the RT-PCR 48 hours prior to departure.
Prior to departure.
prior to departure, and making sure you self isolate or just self monitor when you get here. So, wow, I'm impressed. Philippines, level up.
It's about time.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I would highly recommend, like, if they already have booked their flight and they're coming on the 11th of February. Once they have their loved ones here, kindly advise their loved ones ahead of time to sort out what needs to be required or what needs to be complied at their destination or the local government unit in which that will be your final destination where you wanted to go to the Philippines, because that would actually help them a lot, and also that.
In short, that's wherever you're going. If you're going to Iloilo, if you're going to Bohol, you're going to Cebu, you're going to Negros, Oriental, Occidental. The province rules might be different. That's why get a hold of your family members, the people that you love, and that are your family. See, this word family is important. Get a hold of them and find out what's going on in the barangay, the province, and see what their regulations are. They might enforce you to stay in the house for 14 days or a week or 10 days or whatever. That's why call and find out. Communicate with your family, man. This is the time. Okay, back.
Will help them ease their stresses, because they should not be stressed coming here, and they should be having the convenience and living the life that they always look forward.
So, JR, is it true that the travel cap has been lifted as well? So they're no longer limiting the entry of the people coming into the Philippines?
According to the resolution, it was they stated there that the arrival of a fully vaxxed foreign national shall not be included in the quota. So it's safe to say that they will not be counted if there would be, for instance, and they will not be included in the count. So needless to say, once everything is open, so probably it will not be on that. The quota is not applicable anymore, especially for this fully vaxxed.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're rushing to their travel agents.
They are.
Yeah, right now. So come on, come in. So
Probably they're trying to hear out or check your video from second time, and they're already back packing their things out. Okay, I'm gonna book a flight now. I'm gonna get ready.
well, that means if there's no travel cap, if it has been lifted, that means the tickets are going to be cheaper now. Because imagine last time I checked, it was about 3 to 4 thousand US. It's a round trip, but it's a lot of money. Imagine that. Way back before COVID, I know a friend of mine I think she and her husband only paid 1,000 to $1,500 round trip from LAX to the Philippines. A round trip ticket, which is good. I imagine
But that's two
lately it was
people.
around 3,000 to 4,000. That's all.
Yeah, but that's two people. That's two people. $4,000 is about right. That's what the last time I priced tickets. It's there was nothing under 2,800, even for a single patron. So she's right on that. She does her homework.
A lot of money, but hey, that's good. That's good news. I'm so happy you can now enter the Philippines starting February 10th of 2022. So, JR, what if they're traveling with kids under 18 years old? What if they're not vaccinated? Are they allowed to enter the Philippines?
Okay. Children below 18 years old are still exempted for the fully vax requirement. So as long as they're traveling with their parents who are allowed to enter the country, then they can actually enter the country. What I can suggest, it's not stated in the IATF resolution, but what would be best is they can actually have a medical certificate along the way, just in case for the plan B, so that we would not just to do away or prevent away. It's better to be prepared than not to be prepared.
Yeah, because I have a friend, I have a subscriber. They're a family trying to migrate here in the Philippines, and they've got kids, and so that's good news. The kids don't have to be vaccinated; they're exempted, so they can enter the Philippines with their parents. Jr., let's talk about. How about the tourists from countries that require visas,
Mhm.
like India, China, or Pakistan, or other countries?
Mhm. They are still allowed to enter the country, but they
Oh,
need to secure an entry visa, which is the
okay.
9A tourist visa. Unlike with the non-visa required, for those you mentioned, that like China, India, they are still required to get an entry visa prior entry here in the Philippines.
Okay, they can still enter as long as they have the visa.
Yes,
Okay.
entry visa.
All right, so it's like yeah, it's just easier for those foreign nationals coming from, and the non-visa required countries, like the
Yes,
major countries. All right.
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry this is going so long, people. I'm going to keep going on with it because I know you're interested. Uh, took the girl what? Probably she probably didn't get no sleep tonight just to get the story out. So I do apologize on how long it's going to be. This is going to be a long video, maybe 30 or more minutes.
Well, that is perfect. I know this calls to celebrate
Yay, more whiskeys, please.
Yeah,
more whiskeys.
more whiskeys, baby.
And again, guys, if you're thinking of
Baby, I'm on
getting
my
an
way.
SRRV
It's my wife.
retirement visa here in the Philippines, you can always call JR. And for those of you that are trying to reach JR, I'm gonna put their contact info in the description box and also in this video, maybe here somewhere. So that you can go ahead and hassle JR.
Oh my god. And so, oh my god, it's getting farther now.
Yeah, the hairline. But
It's
you'll
getting
have
farther.
more clients once the borders are open, because I know some of my Western viewers out there, they would rather they like convenience. So if you can do their visa extensions and other visa stuff, that would be great.
Sorry about the
Again,
moving
JR, I'm
around,
so
people.
happy to give this great news to our subscribers out there, to my viewers out there, and
But
thank you
my
so
hand's
much for
getting
making
tired.
you are very busy. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today. I know this is very abrupt. I'm so happy as well. I can't believe it's finally here. It's been 2 years. When I started my channel, the borders are closed.
Oh,
So
dang.
this is gonna be the first, and
Muffle
I'm so
fire.
happy for the reunification of families and loved ones. And I'm sure you guys are dying to see your girlfriends, your wives, or wives and girlfriends. Just don't just schedule them
My
apart.
wife. I want to see my wife.
All right, JR, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for picking up the call. I'll see you soon.
Thank you also the Filipina P. It has always been my great pleasure to be with you on this interview and to your channel, and always take good care, and we look forward to see your subscribers here in the Philippines now in the near
All
future.
right. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye for now. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Alrighty. Now, see, usually she has a end. What is end? Not an intro, but an end. Like two thing. And on this one, she does not have it. But I probably bored you all for too long. It was just good news, and I thought I would share it and show you where I got it. But it's pretty reliable. She's always been reliable as far as information. She's there in Dumagetti. She's got lawyers and BI and all kinds of connects, and and she's reporting on the facts. So get ready to go to the Philippines, baby. I know some of you can't wait. I can't wait. Anyways, man, I love you all, and that's it. This is going to be a long enough one to download. Good Lord, half hour. Hope I didn't bore you. Just me, my everyday life. This is what I look out for. All I can say is, baby girl, my wife, my love, my passion, I'm on my way. I'm coming. Oh yeah, I'm coming. Because now my brother can come too, and we're both coming. And he's paying the ticket. He owes me. Owes me. Love you all. Bye.